ancient Egypt. Could it be that the hieroglyphs left behind by this mysterious culture detail a history of visitors from another planet? And the story of an advanced alien race assisting people on Earth thousands of years ago?
If this is true, this could absolutely change and alter everything we believe about the human race.
From stories of visitation buried within ancient texts to evidence that Egyptian structures did not begin on Earth, evidence throughout the world suggests that a connection may exist between aliens and ancient human civilizations. The celestial calendar, known as Stonehenge, the ancient Indian tales of piloted ships called Vimanas.
What we're discovering is that ancient societies that suddenly blossomed and bloomed out of nowhere learned that information from older, much older cultures. Probably human, but possibly not human.
No civilization in human history may reveal more about our connection to the stars than a race beginning over 5,000 years ago. The people of ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt is almost like a well of our own human past. The more we explore the mysteries of ancient Egypt, the monuments, the pyramids, the Sphinx, the more we realize that there's more to learn about ancient Egypt and its potential relationship to other extraterrestrial races.
Dendera, Egypt. Among the many ruins here, the great Temple of Hathor serves as the central temple of worship for the goddess Hathor, mother, wife, and daughter of Ra, the sun god.
What's fascinating about the Temple of Hathor is that it has this beautiful celestial image on the ceiling, and it proves that the ancient Egyptians were fascinated with astronomy.
But hieroglyphics in the Temple of Hathor also reveal what could be a scientific understanding thousands of years ahead of its time. The most mysterious etchings appear to show a device that wouldn't be invented by modern man for another 3 millennia.
So you have these hieroglyphics that depict this reptile-like creature or creatures giving these gifts to humans. And the gifts really, upon looking at it, are bulbous in nature. They're emitting a light. You can even argue that there's a filament inside. It looks like a light bulb. Some people say that it's a light bulb.
Did ancient Egyptians possess the knowledge of electric light bulbs over 3,000 years before Thomas Edison? And can the records of ancient Egypt reveal the true identity of the strange creatures passing their knowledge to mankind? The Tuli Papyrus.
One of the most recent accounts of possible interaction between Egyptians and extraterrestrials comes from the Tuli Papyrus.
According to reports, the Tuli Papyrus was discovered in a Cairo antique shop by Alberto Tuli, a director of the Vatican Museum's Egyptian Studies. The message's alleged translation reveals a shocking account of unidentified visitors over the sands of ancient Egypt more than 3,500 years ago. It reads, "In the year 22, a strange fiery disk was coming in the sky. After several days had passed, they became more numerous in the sky than ever. They shined in the sky more than the brightness of the sun. Powerful was the position of the fiery disks."
The Tuli Papyrus describes fiery disks that were flying through the sky. What do we call these now? We call these UFOs, and it almost looked like an alien fleet, a fleet of extraterrestrials, were flying over the skies of ancient Egypt.
Many believe these fiery disks could be the arrival of alien beings depicted in the Temple of Hathor.
If this is true, then we have an actual documented account of UFOs descending upon ancient Egypt. And on top of that, we could have evidence of technology thousands of years ahead of its time. Is it possible that what we thought of as gods were in fact extraterrestrials that the ancient Egyptians were communicating with? And if so, then why were they here? And what do they want from us?
The answer to these mysteries could reveal the greatest alien secret in human history and uncover the tomb of an ancient ruler known to some as the Alien King. Ancient Egyptian records prove an undeniable link between the people of Egypt and mysterious beings that have been interpreted as gods. But But were these gods mere folklore? Or could they have been actual creatures visiting our planet and sharing their secrets with mankind?
If the ancient Egyptians had contact with extraterrestrials, maybe all of the hieroglyphs that we see today of their gods are actually their interactions with extraterrestrials.
Abydos, Egypt. Carved into the walls of the famed Temple of Seti are incredible images that some believe could connect ancient man and alien life.
On the walls of these Egyptian edifices, there seem to be hieroglyphic depictions of modern aircraft. There's a helicopter, another type of aircraft. It looks like there's a submarine. What could explain that in inscriptions that were carved into stone 8,000 years ago?
If these are recordings of machines a millennia before their time, could ancient man have been exposed to advanced technology by a superior race?
You have to wonder, were these flying machines in the sky during ancient Egyptian times? Is this something that they built themselves? Or this could be proof that something was in our skies thousands of years ago.
If these carvings are evidence of alien contact with ancient humans, what were they here to accomplish? The answer could be in the tomb of an Egyptian ruler some believe may not have been human at all. Akhenaten, the alien king. Pharaoh Amenhotep IV became ruler of Egypt in 1353 BC. But 5 years into his reign, he changed his name to Akhenaten, the living spirit of Aten.
In Egyptian mythology, Aten is described as this solar disk, sometimes depicted with hands and rays coming out of it. And this makes Akhenaten the living embodiment of that sun disk.
Akhenaten ruled for 17 years, changing the traditional religion of the land to only worship Aten. According to the king, Aten, the sun disk, was more powerful than mere gods.
Because Akhenaten was able to come in and change all of the beliefs of Egypt in a matter of just years, that tells me that there's some connection between him and this deity. And if we believe in the idea that Aten was some sort of extraterrestrial being, then perhaps Akhenaten was actually offspring.
Hieroglyphics of Akhenaten reveal him to be anything but normal. His arms and fingers are long and slender. His chin stretches low, and his head strangely elongated.
Certain characteristics of these aliens would be portrayed in the genetic structure of the royal family, and one of those is cranial elongation.
Analysis of Akhenaten's skull has led researchers to imagine a head of inhuman length and eyes of unusual size. This trait was also seen in daughters of the pharaoh, as well as his famous son, King Tutankhamun. But could this family have descended from an extraterrestrial race?
Skeptics believe that Akhenaten's skull shape could be the result of skull binding or tying something around the head to misshape it on purpose. But there's absolutely no evidence that supports that Akhenaten's skull shape has anything to do with skull binding.
Some claim Akhenaten and his descendants suffered from a biological disorder. But alien theorists insist the explanation lies in something far more shocking. Could Akhenaten, in fact, have been the first recorded attempt at alien-human hybridization?
If an alien race were dying, how would they invade another planet to sustain their race, to keep themselves alive through successive generations? One way would be to hybridize with that species to create a new species, a synthesis of that species and their own, and therefore their civilization could be sustained.
If aliens were successful in interbreeding with humans, their genes could still be present in the human race today. But where did they come from? And where did they go? The answer may be within messages left behind at their greatest achievement: the pyramids. Ancient records and the remains of a pharaoh known as the Alien King may prove that the gods of Egypt were more flesh and blood than ever imagined. But could these strange beings have been visitors from another world?
A lot of believers feel that that is evidence that they were visited. That is evidence that they knew more then than we know now about life out there in the universe.
The pyramids. What many would call impossible structures. The pyramids may be man's greatest early feat of engineering, but was the feat accomplished by mankind alone?
You can see examples of this all over the globe, but the most impressive and fascinating is the Great Pyramid at Giza.
The Great Pyramid of Giza was partially constructed using 130 granite blocks that each weighed between 12 and 70 tons. Each massive piece was nearly impossible to move with sheer manpower alone, and yet each one was transported incredible distances.
These large stones of granite were hauled 500 miles away to build the Great Pyramids of Egypt. They needed to be hoisted over 240 feet into the air by the time they reached their capstone. So how did any race do this and accomplish this, especially when they came 2,000, 3,000 years before the time of Jesus?
According to historians, the Great Pyramid took only 20 years to construct. If true, workers would have had to quarry, craft, and fit a multi-ton block every 2.5 minutes.
That's an amazing feat, even when you're talking about 21st century technology. So how did the ancient Egyptians do it? Really, the only answer to that you could come up with that makes sense today is they had help. They had to have had help. How could the human race do this by themselves?
The degree of accuracy found in the pyramid's construction also indicates a higher intelligence.
The positioning of the pyramid is absolutely precise. It points due north within 0.05 of a degree. No other structure on Earth has that kind of precision.
Constructed with what the Egyptians referred to as sacred geometry, the pyramids are said to have once been polished to reflect sunlight, enough to be visible from space. But what was the purpose of such a beacon? And could the answer be buried within this sacred geometry?
The equations and the mathematics required to have figured that out were so advanced that only someone looking at the Earth from the sky or from space would have figured out the mathematics of the Great Pyramid.
Analysis indicates that the height of the Great Pyramid, when multiplied by 1 billion, measures the average distance of the Earth from the Sun. The full base circumference of the Great Pyramid is a near-to-scale match for the circumference of the Earth at the equator.
When you take all this into consideration, how did the Egyptians get all this advanced information? It was way beyond the technology of ancient Egypt and way beyond the civilization itself. That's why many ancient alien theorists believe that ancient Egypt was actually in part an ancient extraterrestrial civilization.
If extraterrestrial intelligence influenced these great structures, it implies that alien beings may have felt a kinship with mankind. Otherwise, why did they leave behind the Great Pyramid or the structure that could explain to us where they came from? The Sphinx. At 66 feet high and 240 feet in length, it is the largest monolith statue in the world, and within it is a secret that may prove that the structures of ancient Egypt did not originate from our planet. If extraterrestrial intelligence influenced these great structures, it implies that alien beings may have felt a kinship with mankind. Otherwise, why did they leave behind the Great Pyramid or the structure that could explain to us where they came from? The Sphinx. At 66 feet high and 240 feet in length, it is the largest monolith statue in the world, and within it is a secret that may prove that the structures of ancient Egypt did not originate from our planet.
The Great Sphinx contains a number of mysteries beyond our understanding, but the greatest of which is right on its surface.
In 1991, geologists from Boston University discovered erosion and weather patterns on the Sphinx that date its construction thousands of years before the existence of the Egyptian civilization.
Then that means that the Sphinx would predate the Egyptian culture by thousands of years. If the Egyptians didn't build the Sphinx, then who or what did?
A chilling possibility is revealed by NASA. These great structures may not be from Earth at all, and the photographs that could prove it will shock the world. Scientific evidence could prove that the great monuments of ancient Egypt were collaborations between mankind and visitors from another planet. But from what planet did these visitors originate?
New NASA photographs have revealed what appears to be several pyramids, and even a Sphinx buried on the sands of Mars.
Were the original pyramids and Sphinx built by an ancient Martian race?
Now that we have rovers on Mars, a lot of these questions will be answered. If we find the remains of ancient civilizations under the surface of Mars, would we have to rewrite human history?
If ancient Egypt was visited and inspired by Martian founders, our exploration of the Red Planet could put us face to face with our ancestors and finally unravel the truth behind ancient Egypt. Mars. Named for the god of war, it is the most similar planet to Earth in our entire solar system, perhaps the only other planet that could support life, human or otherwise. What can explain the inhuman discoveries made on Mars? Bizarre structures, possible alien remains, and what could be an alien figure caught on NASA cameras. Is mankind on the verge of discovering alien life on Mars, or have we already found proof of Martian civilizations?
This almost appears to be a whole city unexplored on the surface of Mars.
In August 2012, NASA's Curiosity rover landed on the surface of the Red Planet. It was the most ambitious mission of its kind in the history of space exploration. A $2.5 billion project that many hoped could answer the ancient question: is there life on Mars?
The Curiosity rover is essentially a moving laboratory, and we can collect evidence off of Mars that we've never been able to collect before.
But the Curiosity rover is only the latest explorer of a program that began in 1971. Since then, 16 probes have successfully reached Mars, some returning crucial evidence that the Red Planet wants or may still be able to support life. In 1975, Viking orbiters showed geological evidence of rivers, lakes, and oceans. These images painted the picture of an ancient Mars that may have once held an abundance of alien life.
When they discovered that there was at one time possibly water on the surface of Mars, that blew open the door of possibility for there being extraterrestrial life in our solar system, let alone the universe.
Could Mars in fact have been much more like Earth than we once believed? The first color photographs of the Martian surface were taken by a rover in 2004. The images revealed that the Red Planet was anything but.
One of the things that shocked people in 2004 when NASA and JPL released these photos was this wasn't the dead planet that we've been led to believe with a brown sky and brown dusty surface. That when you look at this bluish sky and when you look at the surface of the Martian ground, it very much resembled the surface of Earth.
Could our exploration of this alien planet uncover the ultimate extraterrestrial secret? That intelligent life once, or perhaps still, exists on Mars, and that the evidence has been right before our eyes. In 2004, NASA landed 2 rovers on the surface of Mars, Spirit and Opportunity. They were sent to explore opposite sides of the red planet. And while Opportunity sent back many interesting photos, it was Spirit which captured what some believe is our first glimpse at an alien face. In this picture, we see a shape sitting on the ground. It has familiar features: eyes, a nose, even teeth. Could this be, as some believe, a humanoid skull buried in the Martian soil?
Alien theorists believe that this could be evidence that either humans had visited Mars at some point in the past, or that some other humanoid alien race has existed there for thousands of years.
Is this object, in fact, an ancient fossil? And what could be buried alongside it? The search for answers could reveal not only evidence of an alien being on the surface of Mars, but an entire civilization. Photographs of Mars reveal alien landscapes remarkably similar to Earth, and unexplained images that look terrifyingly human. But the biggest question remains: is there alien life on planet Mars?
All the evidence points to the fact that Mars could have very well supported life in the past and maybe supports alien life to this very day.
July 25th, 1976. The Viking 1 orbiter photographs a Martian terrain known as Cydonia. Of the many pictures taken that day, one would be seen as a sign that we may not be alone in the universe. A human face etched into the surface of Mars.
Well, the face of Mars doesn't resemble, it looks like a human face. I mean, it's looking up at the stars, at the heavens, but it looks like a human face. No mistaking it. And this thing has 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. It has something that looks like a headdress on it. And this face, by the way, is about 3 miles, top to bottom, chin to head to top of head, and about 2 miles across. So it's a very large object, it's not small.
Alien theorists propose that the face of Mars could be a monument constructed by an ancient alien race, an invitation or a warning to visitors of Mars.
Skeptics say, well, why would an alien race make something like this? Well, who knows? It could be for a number of reasons. It could be as a monument to, maybe they knew a cataclysm was coming and they wanted to leave something that would let people know that they were there, let somebody know that they were there. It could be as simple as art. I mean, why do we create art? Why do we create sculpture?
Shockingly, the most recent images of the face reveal nothing more than a mountain of sand. Was the face a mere illusion?
Now, there's a lot of coincidences there if this wasn't artificial or manufactured, so you have to ask, was this just a trick of lights and shadows by the cameras, or was this really a manufactured structure?
Most are prepared to pass off the phenomenon as a trick of the light. That is, until another shocking image appears in the Viking photos. It's a series of high points in the Martian landscape that bear an uncanny resemblance to the mightiest monuments of Earth's past, the pyramids of ancient Egypt.